Ever feel like, the world is just this giant puzzle,
Mhm.
and we're all trying to figure out how we fit in. That's kind of what we're diving into today, that whole idea of being a global citizen.
Yeah, and it's not like you need to memorize every country or anything like that. It's more about like shifting your perspective. How do your actions, ripple outwards? How do they impact the world beyond your own little bubble?
I like that. Ripple effects.
Mm.
So we found 30 reasons why someone might want to think this way. And honestly, at first it felt like, whoa, that's a lot. But going through them,
Hmm.
it's more like a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
Absolutely. You get to pick and choose what clicks with you. But the heart of it is connection, awareness, impact. And what's cool is the benefits go both ways. They impact you and the world around you.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where do we even start with something this big?
Well, I'd say usually it starts with like cultural awareness, but not just, tolerating that other cultures exist. It's about going deeper, truly appreciating that richness.
So instead of just knowing, you start to understand why those differences exist in the first place. Like how cool is it that the food we eat, the music, it all came from somewhere, from centuries of tradition.
Exactly. And when you start to peel back those layers to get that why, it sparks your curiosity. Suddenly, the world is a much more interesting place.
It's true. Even just trying a new dish, right? It's like this little peek into another world, all through flavors and ingredients.
And as that cultural awareness grows, so does empathy. You start to see the world through others' eyes, their struggles, their joys, all of it.
It's like that feeling when you travel, you connect with locals, and their lives are so different from yours. The world feels smaller somehow.
And that connection is key. Because as global citizens, we get at these challenges we're facing, like climate change, poverty. They don't stop at borders. We're all dealing with this together.
Yeah, it's like that saying, we're all in the same boat. Or maybe we're all in different boats, but on the same, sometimes stormy ocean.
Exactly. And that shared experience, that's what can spark change. It makes us think beyond just ourselves to the needs of others, near and far.
Moving beyond that us versus them to we're all in this together.
Right. And when you see the world like that, it's empowering because you realize you have a role to play in making things better for everyone.
Love that. And speaking of empowering, let's talk about how this whole global citizen thing helps us grow as people. It's got to be about more than just good vibes, right?
Yeah.
It pushes you to learn and grow too.
Totally. Think about it. When you're engaging with different cultures, different ways of thinking, that's where the real growth happens. You challenge your own assumptions, you become more
Like
adaptable.
you're stepping outside your comfort zone and realizing, whoa, the possibilities are endless.
Exactly. You start to see the world as this massive classroom. There's always something new to learn. And that thirst for knowledge, it spills into every part of your life.
It's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
But instead of being scary, it's exciting.
Exactly. And that excitement, that openness to new things, it rubs off on other people. It can inspire them to step outside their comfort zones too.
It's a chain reaction of curiosity.
Precisely. And those little ripples, they can have a huge GE impact.
Okay, I'm hooked. We've covered awareness, empathy, connection. What other doors does this open?
Well, one of the most exciting is global networking. And I don't just mean collecting LinkedIn contacts, but building genuine relationships with people from all over who share your passions.
Oh, I love that. It's like having a friend in every corner of the world, each with their own unique experiences to share. A global network of mentors and friends.
And those connections can lead to opportunities you never even dreamed of.
Okay, that is seriously cool. Expanding our minds, our networks. But what about our actual skills? Does becoming a global citizen come with a skills upgrade?
It does. Think about it. Navigating different cultures, perspectives, you're constantly honing your problem-solving skills. Because global issues are complex, right? They need creative solutions that work on multiple levels.
Like having a superpower for tackling complexity.
Exactly. You get better at seeing the big picture, connecting the dots, finding common ground, even when things seem worlds apart.
So we're not just becoming more open-minded, but also sharper thinkers. This keeps getting better and better. What else is in this global citizen starter kit?
Well, this one's important to me, a love of lifelong learning.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in never stopping learning. But how's that connected to being a global citizen?
When you embrace that global mindset, the world becomes your classroom. Every conversation, every experience is a chance to learn something new. You develop this insatiable curiosity about other cultures, languages, histories.
Like having a front row seat to the most fascinating story, and it never ends. And the best part, No tests.
Exactly. It's about the joy of discovery, that thrill of expanding your horizons. It's about knowing you're constantly evolving as a person.
Okay, you've sold me. What other gems are we going to find on this journey?
Well, in a world that's more connected than ever, this one's crucial cultural intelligence.
Cultural intelligence. So, like a high IQ when it comes to understanding different cultures.
It's not about traditional intelligence, but rather a set of skills and sensitivities that help you navigate different cultural contexts with ease and respect. It's about understanding the unspoken rules, the nuances of communication that can be totally different from what you're used to.
So it's more than just knowing the right things to say or do. It's about understanding the why behind them and adapting your behavior respectfully.
Exactly. It's about being observant, picking up on social cues, asking questions when you need to, and learning from your missteps along the way.
Like becoming a cultural chameleon, blending in and adapting to different environments.
Exactly. But it's not about changing who you are. It's about being respectful and finding ways to connect with people on a deeper level, even with those differences.
That's what I love about this. It's about building bridges of understanding across cultures.
Absolutely. And those bridges are built on a foundation of empathy, curiosity, and a genuine desire to connect with people from all walks of life.
This is amazing, and we're just scratching the surface. What other incredible benefits are in store as we keep going with this global citizen thing?
Get ready to roll up your sleeves because next up is the power of collaboration.
Collaboration, yes. Because let's be honest, we can't do this alone, right? But how does collaboration work in the life of a global citizen?
Global citizens understand that the really big issues, climate change, poverty, everything, they don't respect borders. They need global solutions. And that means people from all over working together, sharing their knowledge.
It's like the saying, two heads are better than one. But in this case, it's more like billions of heads are better than one.
Exactly. And global citizens are like natural collaborators. They're not afraid to reach out across borders, build partnerships, work toward those shared goals.
That we have so much to learn from each other. And when we combine our strengths, our different ways of seeing things, we could achieve way more than we ever could alone.
Precisely. It's about nurturing that global cooperation, realizing we're all part of the solution.
Okay, I am so here for this. What other nuggets of wisdom do you have for us on this adventure?
All right, time for a dose of reality. Up next is global competency.
Global competency. Sounds intense. What is that?
Basically, it's about truly understanding how the world works. We're talking global economics, international relations, all that complex stuff that feels far away but really shapes our lives.
So it's not enough to just be aware of different cultures. We also need to understand the bigger picture, the forces that are shaping our world.
You got it. It's about connecting those dots between local and global issues, understanding the context of what's happening in the world, and recognizing that we all have a role to play in shaping a future that's more just, more equitable, more sustainable.
Okay, I need to start taking notes. This is fascinating stuff. What's next on our Global Citizenship World Tour?
In a world that's constantly changing, adaptability is key.
Adaptability. Love it. Things are moving so fast these days. Being able to adapt isn't just a good skill to have, it's essential. But what makes it so crucial for global citizens specifically?
Global citizens, they're naturally comfortable with complexity, with diversity. They get that the world is always evolving, and they embrace it instead of being afraid of it.
To like the ultimate cultural chameleons, thriving wherever they go.
Exactly. They're open to new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things. This helps them navigate those cultural differences, build bridges, contribute to a more harmonious world.
That is so cool. We're on a roll. What other amazing qualities are we going to uncover on this quest?
Get ready to expand your palate because up next is an appreciation for different cuisines.
Okay, now you're talking. Food is life.
hmm
But how does trying new foods connect to this bigger idea of global citizenship?
It's way more than just pleasing your taste buds. It's about understanding that food is a powerful way to experience culture. Every culture has its own unique culinary traditions. Each dish has a story to tell about history, geography, values.
So it's about understanding that food is a universal language. It brings people together, sparks conversations, helps us appreciate different cultures.
Exactly. When you approach food with curiosity and respect, it becomes a window into other cultures, a way to connect on a much deeper level.
I love that. Food is definitely the way to my heart, and I love that it can bring the world closer, one delicious bite at a time. It's making me hungry just thinking about it. But you're right, it's about so much more than just the food itself. It's that feeling of connection you get when you share a meal with people from different backgrounds, swapping stories and traditions.
Exactly. It's like breaking bread or maybe some amazing dumplings with people from all walks of life. You realize even with our differences, we have a lot in common.
Okay, so we've established that global citizens are adventurous eaters. But what about travel? I have a feeling they don't just stick to the tourist traps.
You're totally right. For a global citizen, travel isn't about checking things off a list. It's about really immersing yourself in new cultures, finding those authentic experiences that challenge how you see things.
So instead of just seeing the Eiffel Tower, it's about talking to a Parisian about their life, their culture, their perspective.
Exactly. Ditch the brochures. Go for those real life interactions. Get out of your comfort zone. Embrace the unknown.
It's about turning travel into active engagement with the world and its people, not just passive observation.
Exactly. Approach each new place with curiosity, respect, and a willingness to learn. And remember, the best souvenirs, those aren't things. They're the memories, the connections, the new perspectives you gain along the way.
It's that feeling when you come home from a trip and the world feels bigger and smaller at the same time. Bigger because you've expanded your horizons, but smaller because you realize we're all connected.
And that feeling of connection, that understanding of our shared humanity, it often leads to a greater sense of compassion for others.
Compassion that's huge. But it makes sense. The more connected you feel to the world, the more you care about what happens to everyone in it. But how does that compassion actually show up in the life of a global citizen?
It goes beyond just feeling empathy, it turns into action. Global citizens, they're driven to make a difference, whether that's volunteering their time, donating to causes, advocating for policies that promote justice and equality on a global scale. That's where compassion becomes action.
So it's about recognizing that we have a responsibility to look out for each other no matter where we live in the world.
Exactly. It's about expanding that circle of compassion to include all of humanity. Understanding that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
And that even small acts, when enough people do them, can have a huge impact.
Exactly. Every act of kindness, every voice that speaks out against injustice, every step toward a more equitable and sustainable world, it all makes a difference.
Love that. And speaking of making the world a better place, we can't talk about global citizenship without talking about sustainability.
Absolutely. Global citizens get it. We have one planet.
Hmm.
And what we do directly affects its health.
So it's about being aware of how much we consume, reducing our impact, making choices for a more sustainable future, choosing eco-friendly products, reducing waste, maybe even going vegan.
It's about realizing that we're all part of this delicate ecosystem. Our actions have consequences far beyond our own little bubbles.
Thinking globally when it comes to our everyday choices.
Exactly. It's understanding that environmental issues aren't someone else's problem, they're everyone's problem. And we each have a part to play in creating a sustainable future.
Okay, I'm on board. What else shapes the global citizen mindset?
Well, in this age of information overload, global citizens are careful about what information they trust. They're critical thinkers, able to cut through the noise and form their own opinions.
So don't just accept everything you read or hear. Ask questions, consider different perspective, think for yourself.
Exactly. Develop your media literacy, be aware of your own biases, and seek out diverse, reliable sources.
Because these days, critical thinking is more important than ever.
For sure. And it's not just about being critical of what you take in, but also being thoughtful about how you communicate with others. Global citizens know that good communication is key to connecting across cultures.
So being respectful, even when you disagree.
Yeah.
Finding ways to get your point across and understand others, despite cultural differences.
Exactly. Remember, communication isn't just about the words you use. It's your body language, your tone of voice, and how well you listen.
It's about finding common ground and building relationships on understanding and respect.
Exactly. And speaking of respect, let's talk about one of the core values of a global citizen, a deep commitment to human rights.
Human rights, that's huge. Everyone deserves dignity and freedom no matter who they are or where they're from. But how does that commitment actually play out in a global citizen's life?
Global citizens believe human rights are universal. Everyone deserves respect and the same basic rights, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, anything.
So an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Absolutely. And staying silent in the face of injustice, that makes you complicit. Global citizens speak out against oppression, stand up for the marginalized, and use their voices to advocate for a more just and equal world.
It's about realizing we all have a role in creating a world where everyone's rights are valued and protected.
Exactly. And it's not just about the big dramatic actions, it's the everyday choices. Challenging discrimination when you see it, learning about social justice issues, supporting organizations fighting for a more just world.
Okay, this is seriously inspiring. But I have to admit, sometimes it feels overwhelming. How can one person really make a difference when the problems are so big and complex?
That's a really common feeling. And yeah, the world's problems are massive. But here's the thing. Global citizens don't get paralyzed by the size of the problem. They get energized by the possibilities for change.
So instead of feeling helpless, they focus on what they can control, their own actions and choices.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that when enough people take action, even small actions can create a ripple effect that leads to meaningful change. Love it. So don't wait for someone else to fix things. Take charge, knowing that we all have a part to play.
Exactly. And that realization that your actions, however small, can make a difference, that's empowering. It gives you a sense of agency, of purpose.
And that purpose, that drive to make a positive impact, that's contagious. It inspires others to get involved, and together we create a movement for change.
Precisely. That's the beauty of this. It's not about individual heroism. It's about collective action. We're all in this together, and by working together, we can create a more just, equitable, and sustainable world for everyone.
I love that. Okay, this is amazing stuff. But before we get too caught up in changing the world, let's talk about something a little closer to home, our own well being. Does embracing this global citizen mindset have any impact on our own happiness and fulfillment?
That's such a great question. And the answer is a resounding yes. When you live with a global perspective, your priorities naturally shift. You're less focused on material things, more focused on what truly matters. Connection, purpose, making a difference. It's like they say, the best things in life aren't things.
Exactly. Prioritizing experiences, relationships, and making a positive impact, those lead to a much deeper sense of happiness and fulfillment.
And that gives you even more energy to keep learning, keep growing, keep making a difference.
It's a beautiful cycle.
Okay, I'm all in. So we've talked about the incredible upsides, but are there any downsides to embracing a global citizen mindset? Is there anything we need to watch out for?
That's a thoughtful question. And it's true, nothing is without its complexities. One thing that can be tough is that the more aware you become of global issues, the more you might feel a sense of responsibility, maybe even a little overwhelmed at times.
Like, the more you know about the world's problems, the harder it is to ignore them.
Exactly. And that can be tough. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by just how big and complicated the problems are.
So how do you prevent that feeling of being overwhelmed or feeling like it's all on your shoulders?
That's where self-care and finding balance come in. You have to know your limits and realize you can't fix everything.
It's about finding ways to contribute that feel good and meaningful without burning yourself out.
Exactly. It's about finding your own rhythm, your own way to make a difference that feels sustainable and joyful. Because when we approach global citizenship from a place of joy and purpose, we're more likely to stay engaged for the long haul.
Love that. Okay, we've talked about the amazing benefits, the possible challenges, and the importance of finding balance. What else is there to explore on this journey?
Well, one of the biggest shifts is this feeling of expanded identity. As global citizens, we start to see ourselves not just as citizens of a particular country, but as citizens of the world.
Like, our sense of belonging grows to include all of humanity.
Exactly. We understand that our identities are complex. They're shaped by our cultural background, our personal experiences, and our shared human experience.
So it's not about pretending we're all the same. It's about embracing our differences while also recognizing our shared humanity.
Exactly. It's about understanding that our diversity makes us stronger. By embracing those differences and working together, we can create a more vibrant, just, and equitable world for everyone.
I love that. It's like we're all part of this giant tapestry. Each thread is unique and beautiful, but together they create something truly amazing.
Exactly. And that tapestry is always changing, always becoming more intricate and more beautiful over time.
And as global citizens, we have the privilege and the responsibility to be part of that ongoing creation.
Precisely. We're not just watching, we're actively shaping a better future for ourselves and for future generations.
This is amazing stuff. I'm feeling so inspired, and I'm sure our listeners are too. But let's pause for a moment and talk about how someone might actually start cultivating a global citizen mindset.
Yeah.
It's a journey, right? So where do you even begin?
That's a great question. And you're right, it's a journey, not a destination. There's no one right way to do it. But there are some simple things anyone can do to start expanding their global perspective.
Okay, I'm ready. What's step one on this exciting adventure of global citizenship?
It all starts with curiosity. The world is full of amazing cultures, perspectives, and stories. So start by being curious about the world around you.
So ditch the tourist traps and have real conversations with people from different backgrounds.
Exactly. Talk to your neighbors. Connect with people online who have different life experiences. Ask questions, really listen to the answers, and be open to learning from their perspectives.
It's about approaching those conversations with genuine curiosity and a willingness to challenge your own assumptions.
Exactly, because a lot of times our assumptions are based on limited information or stereotypes. When you really listen to and learn from others, it opens up your mind to a whole world of possibilities. It expands your understanding of what's possible.
Love that. So curiosity is key. What other practical things can people do to cultivate this global perspective?
Well, one of the most powerful tools we have is education. And I don't just mean formal education. I'm talking about being proactive, seeking out information and experiences that broaden your understanding of the world.
So instead of just sticking to your usual news sources or social media, which often reinforce what you already believe, actively seek out different viewpoints.
Exactly. Read books and articles from writers all over the globe, listen to podcasts with guests from diverse backgrounds, watch documentaries that explore global issues from multiple angles.
It's about becoming a more critical consumer of information, actively searching for a broader range of perspectives.
Exactly. The more we expose ourselves to different ways of thinking and being, the more we challenge those assumptions and expand our understanding.
I love it. It's like building mental muscles, stretching your capacity for empathy and understanding. What are some other ways we can work those global citizen muscles?
One of the most rewarding ways is to get involved in your community, both locally and globally.
So don't just think globally, act locally.
Exactly. Find a cause that speaks to you, whether it's protecting the environment, fighting for social justice, animal welfare, whatever it is. Find a way to get involved.
Volunteer, donate, even just raising awareness about issues that matter to you. Those are all great ways to contribute.
You got it. Every little bit counts. And when we all do our part, even small actions can lead to big changes.
Love that. Okay, so we're being curious, we're educating ourselves, we're getting involved. What else belongs on the global citizen to-do list?
In an increasingly connected world, intercultural communication skills are more and more important.
That makes sense. But what exactly does it mean to be a good intercultural communicator?
It's about being aware of the little things and how people communicate across cultures. Something that might be polite one place might not be somewhere else.
So be respectful of those differences. Make an effort to understand the cultural norms and customs of the people you're interacting with.
Exactly. Be patient, ask questions, and don't be afraid to learn from mistakes.
It's about understanding that good communication isn't just about making yourself understood, but also listening with an open mind and trying to see things from different perspectives.
Yes. And when we come to communication from that place of curiosity and respect, it opens up so many possibilities for connection that we might have missed otherwise.
I love that. Okay, we're opening our minds, building bridges, making a difference. This global citizen thing is pretty great. But realistically, it can't always be easy, right? What are some of the challenges of living with this worldview?
You're right, it's not always a walk in the park. One of the hardest things is dealing with people who just don't see things the way you do.
It's easy to get stuck in arguments, especially in today's world where everything feels so divided. How do you have those tough conversations in a way that's productive and respectful, even when you completely disagree?
That's such an important question, and it's something a lot of global citizens think about. Because on one hand, we feel strongly about speaking up against injustice and fighting for what we believe in.
But on the other hand, we don't want to push people away or shut down the conversation before it even starts.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between being true to yourself and listening with an open mind.
It's about approaching tough conversations with empathy, trying to see where the other person is coming from, even if you don't agree.
Precisely. Because often, when people feel heard, it opens the door for real dialogue and connection.
And sometimes that connection, that human connection, is more powerful than winning an argument.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings trying to figure things out on this planet. And even though we might have different beliefs, we all have the same basic needs to feel safe, loved, and connected.
I love that. So even when things are tough, even when you encounter resistance, remember that connection, that human-to-human connection is always possible.
Yes. And it's in those moments of connection, those moments of understanding, that we start to build a more just, equitable, and compassionate world.
Okay, so we're back. And I don't know about you, but I'm still thinking about that feeling and connection we were just talking about. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. It's like that aha moment when you realize, wait a minute, we're not all that different after all.
Totally. So as we wrap up our deep dive here, I'm curious. We've talked about the what and the why of global citizenship, but what about the how? How do you actually live that out in your everyday life? What does it feel like?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, it's a feeling more than anything you can easily put into words. It's this deep down sense of being connected to something bigger than yourself, this understanding that we're all in this together. It changes how you see the world, how you interact with the people around you.
So like you're walking down the street and suddenly everyone you pass isn't just a stranger, they're a fellow global citizen.
Yeah, each with their own story, their own experiences, their own unique perspective. And that's what makes it so exciting, those differences.
It's like those differences become like invitations to connect, to understand each other better, to break down those walls that we build between ourselves.
Right. You start approaching those interactions with a different energy, more curiosity, more empathy, more of an openness to learn. That's what being a global citizen is all about.
And being open like that, being willing to connect despite our differences, I feel like that opens up a world of possibilities for all of us, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. We can learn so much from each other when we're willing to listen. We can create incredible solutions together when we're all working towards the same goal.
And it's not just about doing good in the world either. It's personally enriching too. It makes you more well-rounded, more understanding, more compassionate. It just makes life better all around.
Totally. When we embrace our interconnectedness, when we realize we're not alone in this, it unlocks something powerful within us. It allows us to be more creative, more innovative, more resilient in the face of challenges. And those are qualities that benefit everyone.
It's like we all rise together. When one of us thrives, we all thrive. That's the kind of world I want to live in.
Me too. And that's the promise of global citizenship. It's a win-win for everyone involved. We all benefit from a more just, equitable, and sustainable world. And we all have a role to play in making it a reality.
So well said. As we wrap up this conversation, I'm feeling hopeful, inspired, and ready to take action. Thanks so much for sharing your insights with us today. I know our listeners are walking away with a lot to think about too.
The pleasure was all mine. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about taking those small steps every day. Because when enough of us embrace our role as global citizens, we can create a ripple effect of positive change that transforms the world.
Yes, it starts with each of us. So until next time, keep learning, keep connecting, and keep shining your light.